Hey YouTube, Mike here with Spending Overtime Outdoors. Just want to take a little bit of time today and talk to you about the crappie fishing or crappie fishing, depending on what area of the country you're in. Up here in Pennsylvania, most of my buddies and people I fish with, we call them crappies. A lot of other people call them crappies, so whichever you like is good. Just want to give you a quick little tour of my game room here at home. Here's some of the deer I've shot in Pennsylvania over the years since I was a little kid, all the way up till this one right here. I shot with a bow a few years ago, about 3 years ago. Here's over here I got a Lake Erie walleye. It was a citation fish from Lake Erie out of the Ohio waters out around Lorain. And he measured in it a little over 30 inches. I don't remember the weight on him now. It's been a good while, 2007. We caught him. And then over here to what our topic today with the crappies is a white crappie that I caught in Palmatuming Lake. He's over 17 inches long. He was 2 pounds something. I mean, he was a really great fish. And I'm sure some of you watching the video know, and others may not know, a white crappie is going to have on its dorsal fin 5 to 6 spikes. So this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A black crappie, this will be set back a little bit more, and he will have 7 to 8 spikes sticking up on there. Also, the white crappies seem to have like some vertical lines in them where the black markings are that come down through, where your blacks aren't really going to have that. That's kind of like some of the quick ways you could really figure them out without getting real technical in the difference between the two of them. So next, I'm just going to go over, quickly on some of the fishing rods that I like to use. Don't really spend a lot of money on a lot of tackle, or rods I should say. I don't have any like St. Croix or anything like that. Just basic things that you find at a Bass Pro Shops or any of your local tackle shops. So first up, this rod here is only a few years old. It is a Berkeley. It's a 5.5 foot ultralight rod, cherry wood rod. It's been one of my favorite rods for crappie fishing, as well as even catching the perch up on Lake Erie, or even the perch, in our home lakes here around Pennsylvania, like Palmatuming Lake that spans Pennsylvania and Ohio. We do a lot of crappie fishing up there. It's a really great lake. For those of you who have never been, that are from around this area that never fished that lake, springtime, late April through mid to late May, that's the lake you want to be on for the crappies. This one's already been rigged up with just a very light jig. It has like a small lead head in it. And this is just a tube bait. Very common, but it's very you can be very successful with this bait as well. And one other little tip, I'm sure a lot of you might do this, or maybe you don't, but when you hook this rod up, if you want to leave it like when you're storing it on the boat, I always clip it right here on the eye. And if you could look at that, that's clipped here on the side. You never want to take your hook and clip your hook on the inside of the eye, because if all you would have to do is put a little burr in there that you may not even feel from that hook or from rubbing around like in your rod locker on your boat or even in the truck transporting, and when you're reeling that line in, that line's going around that eye like that, and you're going to put marks or little cuts into your line. When you get that fish of a lifetime on, you can get a break. So just something there that always check that out. Don't make that mistake or have a buddy hook your rod up the wrong way. And I've seen it happen. I was taught that a long time ago when I was a little kid and just kind of always, you know, stuck with that rule of thumb. Or you could stretch it out, hook it down here, or when you have a jig on like that, I don't usually store them in my rod locker that way, but you could reel it up all the way to the end, leave it like so. But like I said, this rod, I always like a rod with a cork handle. And this one's been great. I mean, I think I picked this one up at a Cabela's and maybe like a $35, $40 rod. And I have a Zepco Bill Dance Crappie Series reel. Again, like a $25 reel. You know, you don't need to go hog wild on expensive poles. That crappie don't know if it's a $100 pole or a $20 pole that he's going to get reeled in on. So another one I have here that that I like a lot. It's extremely ultra light. It's a glass rod. It's a Bass Pro Shops rod and a Bass Pro Shops small tiny reel. It'll only take up to 4 pound line, and we'll get into the line in a minute. But you know, 4 pound to 6 pounds like what I prefer, and even fishing my crappie tournaments with. And this one here too is hooked up with a jig also on 4 pound line. But if you look at the end of this rod, the sensitivity on this glass rod is like, it's unbelievable. Just the slightest little tug and you can start to see, and you can feel that all the way down in that handle. Once again, this wasn't a crazily expensive rod either. I want to say in the $30 to $40 range. And these are pretty common jigs that I like to use here also. This one's a little bit beat up from catching some fish, but these are Berkeley trout worms. They're just a rubber trout worm. And I could try to, I'll just pull this back a little bit off of the shank. So you have it like a shank here for your bait to go on, whether you're using something like a Bobby Garland or anything like that. You take this worm, and I'll rig them this way, almost like if you were like bass fishing and trying to put something on there and you kind of leave a tail. That's what's going to trigger those crappies to strike like that. This is great to pitch around like boat docks and things. And you get that action when that jig's down there doing this. I mean, you could really see how that tail moves around. And then another good way of doing this, and actually I thought I had more of these to show you, but they're actually in the boat, and the boat is in storage because while we're filming this, it is February. So you take your trout, rubber trout worm, and you would just hook it like so, right down there over that jig, and let that dance around that way. And you know, that's also been productive, but I like, you know, usually rig them the first way we've had that. And then like once again, reach back here, hook that jig up. And these are real common jigs that we use up here in the PA, Ohio waters a lot. You could also tip this with a minnow. I usually hook my minnows up through the lip and then let the minnow swim that way on a jig or through the tail. And we'll do videos on that when we get, you know, springtime comes and we're out on the water, and go over some of those other tips and stuff like that that's worked for me and my fishing partners. So, would that be that rod? Once again, not a lot of money invested. Nice cork handles. They are 2-part. Even with that Berkeley Cherry, it was 2-part. Could be pulled apart. Get them in the back of an SUV or a car or whatever have you. Another one I have here, it's more like a trout rod for a stream. And it's a Cabela's rod. Probably got 25 bucks in the whole combo. I've caught more fish on this rod than probably most of the rods I have in my rod locker. This one right now is set up with our usual, if we were fishing live bait with just a split shot, maybe under a float, and we're just drift fish a lot for the crappies in the springtime. And this is just a gold, I believe it's a number 6 Aberdeen hook from Eagle Claw. There's no, bait holders on the back of it. It's just a nice gold hook. It's been great for crappies. It's also been great for perch. And this little rod here, for some reason or another, when you're out crappie fishing, you never know what you're going to catch when you're on a live bait. I was in Prescott Bay up in Lake Erie this past March doing some perch fishing. Threw this rod out, thought maybe I'd even get into some crappies or a perch with it. Ended up catching a 40-inch muskie on this rod using a 4-pound Berkley Trilene XL. So, I mean, it was a great fight. Thought the rod was going to snap in half, and it held up through it, and it was a great fish. Also caught a lot of walleyes. Pamatuming Lake, where we fish a lot for crappies in the spring, it's also a great walleye fishery. I mean, nothing like, the Great Lakes or some of the reservoirs around, but that is a reservoir, Pamatuming Lake, but it's very good for walleyes. So when you're up there crappie fishing in the spring, the walleyes are also in there on the rocky bottoms, some of the old road beds that are in the bottom of that lake, and you're jigging along and you pick up some walleye. So it's another good little rod we like. So other than that, getting into some of the line I like to use and string on these. This is Trilene XL, low vis green. Been using a lot of low vis green. Been having good luck with it, so I've just been sticking with it. This spool here is a 6-pound test line because currently don't have any 4 here. Got to stock up here for the spring, but 6 is also very good. I just preferably like 4. Also string up some rods with Berkley Vanish, which is a fluorocarbon. Things like you would use on your like a leader for a salmon rod, like if you're doing your steelhead in the streams in the fall, for those of us that are up in the Great Lakes region to fish the steelhead salmon. Basically invisible when it's under in the water. It does cast well, not as great as like the regular Trilene, but this works. We've caught fish on it. I haven't fished it a lot, but I plan this year to use it more and really try to give a better review on the types of line. But always try new things, you never know what you're going to come up with. But that's just stuff we like to use there. Other things we have here, nice little Roadrunner jigs. You could be jigging this, and you also could just cast it and reel it in. You got a nice little blade on here, get some flash, also works well. And as the springtime moves on, and even when the crappies get deeper, we usually troll and use these little diver grappalas. This one here, I can't see exactly. It's a little shad wrap, and you stick that out there and troll that about 2 miles an hour when the fish start getting deeper, and it works really well. And hopefully we'll do some videos on that this summer. Other than that, a couple little different floats. Got little stick bobbers, real simple to throw on the end of your line and hook up. They work well, along with just these nice little floats. That's kind of stuck in there. You're going to drop your line down through this little crack in here and push that in. Now you sealed up your float. You throw out maybe like 4 3-foot, 4-foot, 5-foot, bit of string, and great things you need to catch the crappies in the springtime. Other than that, that's pretty much all I got right now. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the game room. Hope you enjoyed you know, a little bit of info about the rods I like to use for my crappie fishing. And hope you like it. Give me a like, give me some comments, a little bit of interaction, and please subscribe to the channel. And stay tuned for more videos. Try to upload things weekly, and you know, things I have even in the trailer video. We're also going to do a lot of other things. You're going to see stuff like with the cooking and smoking of the meats, all the way down to any other outdoor activity. So thanks again, and stay tuned for more videos. Thanks.